Today we will be discussing plot. You will need to take notes on plot throughout the lesson. Your notes should be kept in your ELA composition notebook. Your notes should have a date, a title, which is the subject of the notes, and your notes on the topic. At the end, you're going to go back and add 3 related sketches in the margins of your notes. Before we begin, think about what is the best short story or novel that you've ever read and why. Jot the title of that short story or novel down in your notes. Plot. This is a plot diagram. You can see that a plot starts with an exposition, moves into the rising action, then you have the climax, then you have the falling action, and finally the resolution. Exposition. The exposition is the beginning of the story. Authors develop 3 main things during the exposition. They develop the initial setting of the story, which is where and when it takes place. They introduce the protagonist or main character, and they develop an initial conflict. Think about that short story or novel that you mentioned in the activation activity. Can you identify these 3 elements of the exposition in that book or short story? Rising action. The rising action is a series of events or conflicts that create suspense, tension, and interest for the reader. The series of conflicts and the rising action all build toward a main conflict. Think of a movie or a TV show that you cannot stop watching. Most likely, this is due to the events in the rising action. Climax. This is the most exciting part of the story. The protagonist makes a big decision that defines who they are as a person or character and the outcome of the story. This is the part of the story you've been waiting for. Falling action. In the falling action, tension caused from the story's central conflict decreases. The story moves towards its conclusion. So think about this connection between the plot diagram. Have you ever noticed that the short story, book, movie, or TV show ends quickly after the climax? Although the climax is the middle point of the plot diagram, the climax will not necessarily be found in the middle of the text or movie. Resolution. The main conflict is resolved and the story ends. Think about the following 3 things. What story endings are satisfying for you and why? Have you ever been dissatisfied by the ending of a story and why? And finally, although the main conflict is resolved, this is the part of the story in which the author can hint at a new conflict. So this would lead into a book series or a sequel. When I think of plot, I often think of a roller coaster ride. If you've ever ridden on a roller coaster ride, let me draw that comparison for you. So go ahead and close your eyes at this moment and picture yourself on that ride. So during the exposition, that is the beginning of the ride. You are entering the ride. You're buckling up for safety. The ride is starting. The rising action. So the ride is climbing up the hill. Anticipation is building. Although you're only climbing up that hill for just a short amount of time, in reality, it feels like you're on that ride for a long time as that anticipation builds. At the top, before you start to drop, there's a brief pause. Anticipation is high. This is the highest point of excitement on that ride. This is the part you've been waiting for. From there, even though in distance you still have a lot of ride left, if you've ridden on a roller coaster, you know that at this point the ride is almost over. It ends rather quickly after that. You pull in, you come to a stop, you unbuckle, and you exit the ride. That would be your resolution. At this time, go back, review your notes, and add at least 3 related sketches in the margins of your notes. This will help you to make meaning of what you're learning about. Remember, you will be taking a picture of your completed notes and your sketches.